Hey, welcome to the episode 3 of the After Zero podcast. Join with us this week is a little bit of a different lineup. Of course, we got Mixed Beast here with us, but we also have a special guest, Biku. Biku, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Biku. I'm 20 years old, and I currently working full time as a hairstylist, but I'm pursuing music.
Right on, right on. And then, what are you actually going to link below? Like, where can they find you? Like, what type of content? And I mean, you
Uh,
said music, but where?
TikTok, TikTok, SoundCloud. It'll be linked below. Biku Music.
Oh, you got one of those tiki talkies?
I'm a
Little
talk
tiki
ticker.
talker.
I'm a talk ticker. Yeah,
These tic
you're, you're
tackers.
you're 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 a little tic tac.
yeah, yeah. I'm a tic tac.
So yeah, we're gonna try to bring on some guests every once in a while, just to try to bring in some new perspectives, and then let them bring up certain things that maybe they want to talk about. And mainly, our guests will just be people we know that are directly in our sphere of influence, or like friends we met gaming, things like that. He's a personal friend as well as a gaming friend, so we figured he'd be the perfect guest to bring on. But the first topic we actually want to talk about, which is going to be kind of a segue from last week. We talked a little bit about how Chipotle was advertising in their games, and we kind of have a similar topic, same sphere, same headspace. But Cyberpunk released a Netflix anime, and it apparently increased their game numbers dramatically, which a game that everyone knows was a little explosive, had a really polarizing release where everyone pretty much hated it, and it was really bad. It got delayed like 5 times. But what were you guys' thoughts on that, or do you have any insights?
Well, I mean, I can give you the numbers too. So this is going based on Steam charts. So from August 2022, their peak players were 18,695. In the last 30 days, which the Netflix series came out 4 days ago, I believe, they jumped up to 85,555 players.
It
All right,
was
so
released
say
about a
that
week
first number
ago.
again. Say that first number again.
So it went from 18,000 to 85,000.
Oh shit. Oh my god. That's actually I didn't know it was like over 4x. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Well, I remember seeing it, and I was like, because the articles when they have their titles, they're like, this explosive thing. And I was like, okay, let me actually see. And I was like, holy shit, like that is actually insane.
Yeah, I think that kind of
Like,
goes towards like what we talked about last week, where like the new ways you can advertise things. I mean, just being able to pull numbers like that in 4x out of one weekend. I'm curious how much Cyberpunk cost them versus not just their Steam numbers, but how much sales did they get that weekend. That's what I'd be interested to see. But I think we were talking a little bit before the podcast, and Biku mentioned you watched it, right?
Yeah. So right now I'm currently halfway through it. I'm still watching the rest of it, but so far the first half of it, the first 5 episodes, because it's a 10 episode long anime, which is pretty odd for an anime season. It's typically 12 episodes. The first 5 episodes have been bangers, like so far. Just everything from the
yeah,
soundtrack, animation, art design, everything. It's currently being created by Studio Trigger, which is a renowned anime studio from Japan that's known for making other animes such as Gurren Lagann, Promare, Kill la Kill. And right now, the reviews for the show is just insane. Just 100% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Well,
8.7
real quick,
IMDb.
I thought it was pronounced Gurren Lagann.
All right. Listen here, buddies. It's Gurren Lagann. All
yeah. I
right.
was,
Yeah, because
I
you
was
can
gonna
log
say
on these
that's like,
nuts. Is that why? Is that...
All right.
bro, why did
No,
I know you were gonna
no, no,
fucking do
no.
it
Hold on,
again?
hold on. In all context, like we were actually playing last night, and that joke was already made. So I was just fucking with Vic because he already had it happen to
You had to
him.
do it to him.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's got to speak to how good the anime is, though, especially if it's like it's making people want to play the
So
game.
do
Because
you
I
know?
feel like if the anime wasn't good, like people like these numbers wouldn't
No,
be
yeah,
that low.
definitely would
So
They'd
be
just be
way
like,
does
oh,
less.
the game shit and the show is shit.
yeah? So
Like,
does the actual anime correspond with anything in the game as far as storyline, characters,
actually, did you play
timeline?
Cyberpunk?
So personally,
'Cause I
I
never
haven't
did.
played through it, but I have watched like initial playthroughs in like the first few hours of the game. The actual story of the anime is completely unrelated to the story of the show, as far as I know. It's like original characters, but it's set in the same city and the same timeline as the video game.
Same timeline.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so is it more like
got it.
story adjacent than it is like a continuation or a prequel or anything like that?
Yeah,
Or
it's in the same universe basically. Like, it's basically the story is happening. I guess it would be like the same time as the game's story.
And before
okay.
all the the game's good now.
I mean, honestly, hold on. Here's the thing. I mean, like after 2 years, I'd hope the game's fucking good now. It's been like 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
but you know what's funny is I actually bought Cyberpunk when it came out, and I literally never
I
opened the
remember
game.
that.
And it's funny
Yeah.
because the reason why I bought it, I was like, well, here's the thing. Like, I want to support the gaming industry, and I feel like Cyberpunk was getting a lot of heat for making adjustments they thought were necessary. Obviously, they didn't make enough adjustments or delayed the project enough, and obviously, they had to pull a lot of things back. But I think that just supporting the game with its like need to delay, even though they still didn't put out a good product, which is kind of mind boggling. But I just want to make sure, like I was like, you know what, I don't want other devs to think they have to rush their game, which I feel like what is it, CD? I don't remember what they're called.
CD
CD
Project
Project
Red.
Red.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
like
studio.
they definitely still rushed their release, but I'm interested to see what the perception is as this moves forward. Like I said last week, we kind of talked how Chipotle. I don't know if you caught that episode, but we talked about how Chipotle was advertising new items in the restaurant via Roblox.
In Roblox.
So
Crazy.
they're
dude,
advertising to 12-year-olds.
that's no, but that's super unique. Like it's such a unique way. Even with this, like we're watching a lot of shows now that are kind of like a spin-off of another medium that already exists. So I think that's pretty
Well, I
cool.
think it's also like just on the Chipotle one. It's like they're also targeting their audience. Like the Roblox players are gonna go to Chipotle. They're not these boomers or old people that like don't care about it. It's people that are like
Yeah,
want
they're
to do
definitely
it.
like all teens
So
and
it's
young
like
adults. Yeah.
yeah, and it's the same thing with the site like the Cyberpunk. The idea of Cyberpunk and like the style of it attracts those like anime loving people. Like they're more open to enjoying and watching that. So it's like you're hitting your crowds properly is the way I see it.
Yeah, it's just adapting your. It's like cool to see big companies and like big execs, so to speak, actually acknowledge the fact that gaming has a presence, and also seeing that it actually does affect it. Right? I mean, just seeing that number is 18 to 86 is insane. I'm interested to see. I mean, I think we saw the same effect with Arcane though when Arcane came out last year. Like, I mean, even we were fucking playing League again. Like,
Well, I was gonna bring that up too. It's like it's like seeing Arcane and seeing characters that you know from the game that you like either enjoyed playing or you like their story, like their abilities. Like seeing those come to life just pulls you back in, and then even when you're playing the game again, you're gonna have a different love for it. Same way with probably people in Cyberpunk feel. It's like, oh, I saw this in the anime, or like this happened in the this character was in the anime. Like those are probably all pulling together and just making it a stronger experience overall.
yeah, it's kind of full circle. Everything is kind of like another medium that did that was, or another game that did that was Final Fantasy 15. Even though they did it really poorly
Oh
when
my
they came out with
no.
Kingsglaive, it was the movie's so good. The movie's so good, but
I'm on a different side of that because I from what I've seen, people love 15. I hate 15. Except
oh,
Kingsglaive was a phenomenal.
I don't
movie.
know if the public perception of 15 is that it's like all around good though. I don't know if that's its overall public perception. I'm unsure. I don't know for sure, but I know that I personally wasn't that big of a fan of the game. I thought it was like lackluster in a lot of ways. I also thought that driving in the car was really fucking boring.
It
That's
was definitely like it. Oh, go ahead, Vic.
that's
Go
actually
ahead.
really crazy that you say that because I see a huge community of like the fans of that game in specific that really enjoyed that part the most about the game is the whole beginning of the game where you're in this boy band driving around the country in a car and it's like a boy band road trip. Like that's I've seen a lot of like YouTubers, I've seen a lot of like content creators have that as their main content and like make stuff out of that.
Well, I just feel like it's a completely different take on a normal Final Fantasy game because as you guys know, like Final Fantasy is my favorite franchise ever, and this is the first one that was like you had your boy band at the start, but you also didn't pick up any additional characters. Like you never got your characters. So I'm talking about when the game was originally released, and this is when I had the biggest problem because now it's like you get the whole story, you get everyone's story, but originally you never got that. You never got to see the story of Gladio or Prompto or wow, I can't
Ignis.
Igni. I can't
Ignis.
even yeah Ignis. Like you never got all those originally, so it's like it just took away from the game and didn't feel like a full Final Fantasy game. It felt like a half-assed product.
Well, to be honest with you, it's because of those you didn't get those stories. The game's characters never felt like a full attachment in that way. Like you never understood like why they were there where they were. Whereas I feel like that's a precedent in the Final Fantasy universe where each character, you know their exact reason of like their true motivations, and like why they're where they're at. Which I feel like when you don't get the full picture on your characters that are in your main party, it affects that. But I was just more talking about like, I don't know, I wasn't a fan of it. I just, it wasn't like my style. I think it's cool, and I think part of it is because Noctis is such a weak main character.
Yeah, I would say
It's
he's an angsty, whiny bitch.
it's
is what he
literally
is.
like everyone else is cool. Like when you find out at least a little bit of their why, you're like, damn, that's sick. And then you're just like, and then Noctis is just a
Yeah.
spoiled brat, bro. Like I don't even.
It's literally it's one of the games where like you like all the other characters besides the main character.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like Harry Potter in that way. Don't at me, but Harry Potter's the same way. Like Harry is the worst character in the whole series. Don't fucking at me. All
Yeah,
right? Listen.
main protagonist hater club. Like, let's go.
Dude, Eren Yeager, Attack on Titan.
Oh, no.
Worst character in the
I
series.
fully believe
Just
there's
kidding.
so many
I think
franchises.
we're. I was
I'm
about to say,
kidding, I'm kidding.
really?
No, like there's
Nah,
so many
I was
stories.
just- I was being kidding. I was kidding.
So many stories, so many series where I feel like the main protagonist is the weakest character in all of them. Like when it comes to anime, books, movies, whatever, video games even. I feel like there's a lot, at least
Give me some more examples.
Like for example, like My Hero
Give us
Academia.
some movie. What about? I was gonna say besides anime, like what about some? Because you said movies too. I'm interested
Movie.
to see like which ones you're talking about there.
Top of my head, I
feel
can't
like it's
name
hard
one,
because
like-
movies primarily don't follow the same like track that animes have. Like movies will have like a main character, but there's like a very strong supporting cast. Where I feel like animes, there's like a huge focus on the main
It's
character.
their whole story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like it's a little
That's
different.
why I was interested to see like what he was gonna say to like
Yeah,
see where he's like thinking.
I feel like in recent history, I
he
can't
said.
think of a
He said,
''Let
"Let me do a Google search real quick. Hold on."
Because I know Jared said Harry Potter, but that was also like a book. So
In recent history, I can't
And I-
think of
and I-
one off
and
the
I know
top
that's
of
what
my
you care about more,
head.
Jared.
Maybe that was a bad example of movie. Oh, okay. I guess one good movie is the new Thor movie. I feel like
Nah, we can just throw. Hold on. I don't even want to go down this fucking rabbit hole right now.
Get rid of
Get
the
that
whole
shit
fucking
outta
movie.
here, yeah.
Get rid of the whole
No,
fucking
what? Don't
movie.
even get rid of the whole movie. Just throw Taika Waititi
Like-
away. Honestly, get that motherfucker out of there. I hate that director so much.
You're not wrong, Vic, but get rid of the whole thing.
yeah, I mean,
Get
like
rid
you're
of-
right.
One day,
But, like-
hold on. One day, we're gonna dive into movies and like going in on directors, and him and Sam Raimi both. I'm gonna go in on. All right.
Oh, can we
but
go in
now
on?
is not the time.
Can we go on M Night Shyamalan Ding Dong?
Oh yeah, I'm like, can we like you can add him to the list real quick.
That
because-
motherfucker, like, oh my god.
Hey, no, dude. The only reason Vic's even saying that is because Avatar: The Last Airbender is so bad. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just Avatar for him. It's like, and I took that personally. Like,
No, that's true. No, that's very true. That is
but,
true.
I wanna pull us back to what we were talking about before.
I'd definitely like to see more companies like come forward and like use the different media outlets, such as whether it's an anime or some kind of movie. Because
Well-
even like something like Blizzard with the WoW, they did it with WoW,
Yeah.
right? Even though I don't think the movie was really that great, but
Well, yeah, I think it's just that you're starting to see that like gaming can press into mainstream media a little bit better. So that's more of what it's about. But what's funny is that you have all these companies doing like things for positive change or like exposing themselves in positive ways. Like Cyberpunk puts out this one, right? And then you have
oh God,
you have
where's this
Chipotle.
going?
You have Chipotle.
the way
you know,
he's building this up
announcing
right now.
their food content. We have Final Fantasy trying to build hype about their game. And you have G2, then you just got G2. And they're like, you know what, guys? You know how there's this creator that's banned on every single social media platform? Why don't we have our CDO go party with him? I think that's a stellar way to approach this.
After didn't they just recently like recruit like a all female team for something?
Yeah, so they had an all female like Valorant team. And then literally the same day, the CEO posts like a video of them
that was the
celebrating.
same day.
It was the same night. So it was like, I might be mistaken. I could be mistaken. But as far as I know, it was the same day, the same night. They're like, hey, y'all, big news, all female Valorant team. And they're like, but you know what? Andrew Tate. Like, so.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy because a lot of people still like defend it. And I'm just like, you don't see how those are like The
You gotta
dude's like a
balance it
blatant
out, man.
sexist. You
Yeah.
know?
You make a good move, you gotta balance that out with the equally shitty move.
Well, especially it's like, well, the G2, what's his name? He came forward and was even like, you're not going to dictate who
Oh
my
no, he
friends are.
double. He
So it's
definitely
like,
doubled down.
yeah, so it's like you're calling him as your friend. It's not just some kind of acquaintance. He wasn't just at the same party as you. He's like, he's your friend, is what you just said.
Yeah, no. What he said was like he tweeted that night. He was like, "You're never gonna dictate who I party with or who I'm friends with. That's where I draw the line." And he doubled down so hard. And then the next day, G2's like, "We have suspended it for 8 weeks without pay." Blah blah blah. And then he was like, "I made a mistake." Well, and I'm just like, this motherfucker, dude. He did not make a mistake. Like he obviously just doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like. And at the end of the day, it affected his work. So then he finally had something to say about it.
Well, yeah,
it wasn't
hindsight
anything.
2020.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like, oh, I realized my mistake, or it was like, no, I just got in trouble, so I decided against.
Yeah, it's like if this took a different route, you wouldn't have had a problem. You wouldn't have felt the need to say anything.
Oh yeah, he probably would have posted more. Which
yeah.
So
I just don't get how we have such a large community of people who, in the gaming community and just overall culture, how people follow that type of ideology and are okay with it.
I was actually curious. I was going to ask you guys, what's your guys' opinion on Andrew Tate as a whole?
Feel free, take the floor, whoever.
This is controversial.
I don't really watch it. Like I haven't really watched much on him. The clips I have seen, I think he's. The reason is so strong because he's actually very well spoken. He's able to explain himself very well and very confidently. Jared's face. But I think his takes are dog shit.
So
and very misogynistic. All that stuff. Like I feel like he could have really good points, and it's like he builds up to where he could have a good point, and then it just like completely sails left.
Yeah.
And completely derails, and now you're on the opposite end, and it's like, how did we get here?
So well, go, were you gonna say something, Vic? I don't want to take your thunder.
No, you can go first, because I feel like.
Okay. So what I was gonna say was, one, I completely think he's a pathetic pile of scum fuck trash. Like dead serious. I think he's the biggest example of a lowlife that I could think of. He's like Ty Lopez if Ty Lopez was a fucking supervillain.
Yeah, that's exactly what we brought. Remember that one time we were talking about him, and it was just like, oh, by the way, me in my garage.
Dude, no, he does that same shit, except he does it to like such a crazy level, and then while also just like shitting on people. And I think there's been a couple creators who have videos, and I kind of align with their mindset on it. But like CoffeeZilla is a good example. I think Ludwig and Charlie all made some pretty good videos on kind of like stances I agree with. I don't think it's something I completely agree with, but I think it's in the same headspace. So one, I think he's actually smart in the way he markets himself. He understands his target audience of 12-year-old, 10-year-old kids who are so impressionable, and he knows how to play them. And that's probably the biggest thing. And he's a smart guy in that fashion. So what he'll do in a video is he'll say, like, for an example, he'll be like, I believe in marriage. I think that one of the reasons our economy is crashing and our society is crashing is because we can't hold marriages and hold meaningful relationships. I don't know of a single person on planet Earth who's going to be like, well, actually, you know what I mean? For the most part, he makes a generalized statement that everyone can agree with. And then he goes in and he's like, but women can't fly planes. And then
that's exactly what I was talking about, where it's like, you're like, okay, okay. And then, what?
Yeah, you're like, how did we get here? And he'll be like, and he'll just do those things where he'll make generalized statements. I believe true love is a beautiful thing. I think everyone should find someone that they can hold dear in their life and truly, make forth. Everyone's like, yeah, that's a really good point. And this is how all his TikTok clips start. If you look at a TikTok clip or YouTube clip, it starts with a generalized statement that no one's going to disagree with. So I'll say that, he'll say like, I believe in love. I believe in marriage. I believe in this. And for the most part, he'll say something like, I believe that there has to be someone at home to take care of children, and we have to raise the next generation of people. And no one's going to disagree with that. So he makes those statements, and he's just like, and you know what? But I think that men are just better drivers than women, and women should be in the kitchen cooking. And you're like, holy shit. What are we, in the 40s? I feel like I'm watching WandaVision.
Yeah, it reminds the one I saw was like where he was like, women are beautiful creatures. I love women. All this stuff, right? Like I
But I
think
wouldn't want her
women
to
are
fly my plane.
precious.
I think is what he said.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't want her to fly my plane, and it's just like what?
And
Like
then
all my good pilots have been men, and I was just like,
and
what the
then
fuck just
I
happened?
think that's and then what you talked about earlier, where you said he's good at like constructing his argument. I would argue that he's not. He just does something that
I don't
like
think I said that
most.
specifically.
Okay, I may be embellishing your
I, I,
words.
said- I said I said he's well spoken in that like the
Yeah,
way
that's
he
what you said.
talks. He's confident in what he's saying.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
it's
say
like
he's very
on a
confident.
younger crowd that's very impressionable and it's easy to follow because they're still trying to figure things out. So when they hear someone's confident, they're not stumbling on themselves, especially when they're asked such controversial questions. He's
Yeah.
obviously thought about things a lot and how to approach the questions that he's
Yeah, I
asked.
feel like he's super well trained in the way he
Hmm.
patterns his speech and how he thinks about what he's going to talk about, and also steering like people who don't know how to debate very well. He's good at steering them into a trap or into a hole. And the
And he's
moment,
he's able to joke, like he's able to pull it back and be funny as well.
yeah,
So that pulls people in as well.
yeah, I 100% agree. Because like for an example, like I think if anyone's good at debating, you know how to instantly like spot an anecdotal argument versus a and a straw man argument, which are two argument styles that he uses constantly. He'll use very extreme examples, or he'll use just anecdotal evidence to support his case. Like for an example, he was actually debating Hassan. I didn't watch the whole video, but Hassan had asked him like because they're talking about like being a sheep and following a crowd. He's like, so how do you determine the world's round? And he's like, he's like, well, I've been to space. I was on a plane. We drove to the border of the. Like he's just going off on some, and then Hassan starts like, okay, dude, you've been to space, and it was more talking about how we all can make anyone with a brain can make the definitive notion that hey, the world's round because we have plenty of empirical evidence to support it, right? Whereas someone like Andrew Tate will say, "Well, the world's not round because when I look outside, it's flat." So he
Yeah,
uses a
yeah.
ton of anecdotal arguments, and he's always like the plane one as an example. This motherfucker goes like, "Oh, I would never want a woman flying my plane." It's like all the best pilots are men. All this is men. Blah blah blah. Why would I want a woman flying my plane? Like he just sounds like an idiot.
It's just
But he
silly.
was like, "Why would I want them to fly my plane? Women can't even drive." And then it was like, on average, women actually do drive better. That's why they have lower insurance premiums.
Hmm.
That's an
Yeah.
actual fact of the insurance industry. One of the most like greedy, greedy institutions in our country, and they even know that women get in accidents less, or else they
Mhm.
charge them more money.
So,
So
what are your thoughts, Victor? Since Jared and I kind of.
Oh boy. So, what
he's
I'm
about
gonna
to go
say at
in.
first, I know it's gonna piss people off, but just hear me out. Hear me out. All right.
Oh god,
So I
incoming
think.
sexism in 3, 2,
Okay.
1.
So I think Andrew Tate, right? I think he's one of the biggest finessers in modern like internet history because he's set up like this whole entire system of where he says, like you said, some generalized like common beliefs or knowledge that people generally believe in, right? And then, like you guys said, he takes it like with a sharp left turn and just goes out of the like into the deep end and just says some crazy off the wall shit, right? And then he hooks people in. He hooks people, like you said, the impressionable people in. And I think he's just like he's perfected this to the point where it's like he has a whole entire like just he's a con man. He's a scammer because he's hooking these like impressionable, mostly males, in with these crazy ideas, and then he funnels them into his Hustlers University. Which, if the people watching don't know, his Hustlers University is a program to teach young men how to become successful, like rich men, basically. And there's a lot of videos on this already done,
Well, hold
but
on,
his
hold on. I was gonna say, I feel like you should dive more into it because I feel like that doesn't justify what's wrong with it. You know what I
so
mean?
And
face
because I mean, it also explains because like it also explains his popularity and how like it came to be because of
Exactly.
Hustlers
He was the
University.
number one person on every platform without it, like a social media account. And I don't mean like number one, but he
yeah.
was trending on
Well,
every single platform: Twitter, YouTube clips, TikTok, Instagram, and he didn't even own accounts on them.
yeah. I was gonna say like he knew how to play the game so well that for the last 4 to 5 months, he's been the most talked person on the internet. Period. Like I generally like, and it's consistent too. And
Hey, tell me if I'm wrong. So my idea with Hustlers University was that like you go and you buy the program, and essentially the program is setting up, these social media platforms that like push his videos out to get people to get people to watch them and grow your platform that way, which essentially is the pyramid scheme everyone talks about. Is like you're here, it goes to the person right above you, and now all the way back up to him at the top.
sort of face
Yeah.
level, just what his Hustlers University is. It's a $50 tuition fee, and basically what it is, it's a link to a Discord server.
Yeah, so the Discord
That's-
server has like certified coaches or teachers
Yeah.
that will teach you basically get rich quick schemes. So if you've ever been on YouTube ever and you get a one of those videos who's like Amazon affiliate links or like here's how to do drop shipping, here's how to do Audible selling, like it's literally all those same things, and he's selling it as if like it's a get rich quick thing. Like Vic mentioned, there's a ton of videos on it. But I personally believe that if you're gonna watch something, for either of you guys or like people watching at all, CoffeeZilla has by far the best video on it because he breaks down those types of things. And he also subscribed to it, so we could break it down. So
Yeah.
Right.
But in turn, it's a twofold
Was
business.
he the one that did a ninjas thing too?
No, that's Drew. I forgot his last name.
Okay.
Drew, like some, but that video is really funny though. But with Andrew Tate's thing, it's a twofold business. You get the whole Hustlers University thing, where it's like, hey, this is how you can get rich. But on the other side, what you're talking about was the MLM part of it, the multi-level marketing, where it's like, hey, if you refer someone, you could get money. So you'll notice that on every Andrew Tate video, known to man, there's an affiliate link in there. If you sign up to Hustlers University,
that's exactly what I was.
And what's wild to me is that it's $50 a month, and at one point he had 100,000 people. So off Hustlers University alone, he was gaining 500,000 every month.
Yeah.
So these other people are also making money off of it, and I'm not saying that people weren't making money. I just think it's completely predatory.
Oh no, a majority of that was going straight to his pocket.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was saying that was the whole plan. At the end of the day, is it's going straight to him.
And that's why I think
that's why he pushes so much that I don't have a social media platform, because he's getting other people to do it for him.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a strong thing for him, like that he wants to keep pushing out, and a statement that he wants to live by.
And I think it's interesting the way he positions, like you mentioned, Vic, of him being like the perfect finesser. I 100% agree, because I actually think people like Jake Paul are in the same exact boat. Like they know how to play this younger audience to inflate their numbers, to make them trending, to make these things happen. And I think he is another example of that, because, like I mentioned, his tactic of how he talks and how he positions it, like the younger audience doesn't understand why he's wrong, because they're like, well, he has like a Lamborghini and Bugattis, so like he has credence to what he's saying.
He has credit,
yeah. And then he says something that's accurate, and they're like, see, look, he did the thing.
The facts, the proof,
right?
Well, I think it's also like the physical look of them too, because these are younger guys too.
That motherfucker looks like a dum-dum man from fucking Spy Kids. What do you mean? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but it's like imagine like Biden saying that and then him saying that.
Yeah, dude.
Like
okay, so we just talked about the president was in there like, well, my Bugattis.
One of my
I know the Earth's round because I was in a plane that went to the solar system.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like they just it's like they're relating to it on what he's saying because they're still learning, and then how they look because it's like he's a young guy like me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I want to be.
Yeah, because he also just like. He's like an incel sympathizer too, where he's like, majority of men in this world are lonely. They have no real relationships, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's me."
Exactly, that's the pull in right there. Like
he's just like me for real.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh my god, dude, someone who finally understands." It's like, dude, holy shit, he's just trying to get you to swipe your card, bro.
Actually, I just want to say you guys are fucking simps. Is what that's the real problem here.
Oh yeah, total.
I mean, I feel like it also comes down just like to how a society is with dating in general, because I feel like it's part of the problem is on both sides for sure. because
Expand on
the
that, yeah.
the way that like dating is
What
nowadays,
problem are we talking about?
I would say a big part is like hookup culture, stuff up like that. Um, Dating app culture, just how fast and easily accessible it is to date people. I feel like is at the same time making it so that a lot of these young men or younger kids, um, are suffering because of it, because of the chain reaction, I guess, the butterfly effect.
Yeah, I think that's like I think it's like a small part of a bigger issue. I don't think it's necessarily that. It's more of what you talked about at the beginning, where it's like a society who how we define self worth and how we define our relationships. Because a lot of what we are referring to is that a lot of people have this warped perception that social media likes equals popularity or equals some sort of what's the word I'm looking
Value.
for? Yeah, validation at the end of the day, right? Because I got 100 likes, I got my validation, I feel good about myself. And it kind of segues into that where everything that the younger crowd like tends towards is things that give them that instant dopamine hit, right? I post a picture on Instagram, I'm in a bikini, I'm showing my ass a little bit, I get more likes, I get a dopamine rush, it feels good. But then at the end of the day, I'm fucking lonely and I have no friends, and my friends only want me for my likes because I can get them likes and then they'll get that dopamine hit. And then their relationships are the same way. I can get attention from this person and I get that dopamine rush. And then instead of making an actual meaningful connection with somebody or making lasting relationships, whether that's on a friendship level or on like a relationship level, you're stuck in the vicious cycle of everyone using each other for quick dopamine hits. It's like hitting a vape at Victor.
Well,
But
well, it's also like you have that in video games too, right? With like certain games, especially it's very primary in FPSs. It's like you click this person, they die. It's like, oh, I'm good.
Don't
Like
vape,
I'm a
kids.
god. Like, did you see that shit? Like it's the same thing there. It's the instant gratification is like you're not pulling anything that's lasting. You're just getting that, and then it's like you come back to reality and you're like, oh shit.
yeah, it's like
Like I'm not that.
I attribute it a little bit to like I think Vic and I were talking about this the other day, like what is it, losers queue in Riot games. Like
Oh
I think
yeah,
it
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
follows the same mindset. So like in order for you to continue playing my game, I can't make the game like so good where you don't want to stop playing. I have to make it to where I need to give you the dopamine rush of winning. So once you've lost 4 or 5 games in a row, I'm gonna put you in a queue where you're almost guaranteed to win. That way you get that fix, and I keep you playing just that little bit longer. Not because you want to, but because you finally got that dopamine rush. Where you're like, okay,
Right.
maybe I am going to play well. And then you start associating just winning with how you feel about, which I feel like is kind of what we talked about episode 1 with toxicity in gaming. I think a lot of that stems from people getting those dopamine rushes, and the only thing they attribute it to is winning. Whereas like just playing the game is fun, enjoying the game
Right.
is fun. Whereas when they start associating rank, so rank becomes status, and then,
Oh
then it's
yeah.
it's the whole thing, right? Like you
Right.
walk into a gaming event, they're like, "Hey, what rank are you, bro? What rank are you? Oh, you're not. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
It's that.
Well, and then
it's a
it's
status
not
symbol.
just it's not just like what's your rank, and then like once it's like you're this rank, it's like, oh, how'd you get that rank? Like,
Yeah,
oh, how'd you do that? How'd you manage that?
and then these
Speaking of ranks, though.
gamers, they're. I was gonna say, yeah, that's a good segue. But I was saying these gamers are associating their self worth with the rank of the
With
game
their
they're in.
rank.
So,
Yeah.
and
So
as
it's
you
like
mentioned,
when you get stuck being low, it's like you can never get it. That's where now elo hell is created.
yeah.
So
So you
so
have elo
definitely,
hell, but then good.
I definitely think that now more than ever, and when it comes to gaming, especially with a lot of younger people spending a lot of their time online, especially with their friends playing games, that rank holds such a high like like your rank is everything with your status. If you're higher than everyone that you're playing with, everyone looks up to you, everyone wants to play with you, etc. And from my own personal experience and from other people I've seen, rank like from a male perspective, having a high rank in a video game that's popular, it gets you girls. It does the work for you because girls will come to you for whatever reason, right? Whatever reason, because they want to get boosted, because they
I
just find it
I've
attractive,
I honestly guess I've never actually talked to like or like been with an e girl at all.
and
I
Like
think
and that's the
that's
thing. that's the crazy thing too, right? It's not even just e-girls, because like especially with now Valorant being so popular with a lot of people who've never really been gamers, right? Valorant's like their first like online multiplayer game that they're really like digging deep into. There's a lot of like just normal girls who are just seeing like ranks on Valorant specifically as like such a high value thing in a guy that they want. And basically it's just like
Like they
especially
see it as some kind of achieve like
Yeah, it's kind of
good
like
Yeah.
Friday
achievement.
with tens. You know, like that's the only reason she dates him.
yeah,
Just
basically.
kidding.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
kidding. Just kidding.
No, like cuz like for sure like I know there's a lot of guys
So what
cuz
is that called? Is that called like a rank digger instead of like a gold digger? Like what is
I
that?
mean, it's been around forever. You know, it's been around in League forever. It's been a thing, but I just
Do
think
you know
now
what
more
you know
than
what it
ever.
reminds me
Well,
of? It reminds me of like the concept of like a badge bunny for police officers, like girls who only want to date like cops. It's like
Yeah.
instead of that, it's like riot. It's riot buddies. That's the thing.
yeah.
What rank are you in Valorant? I only date Ascendant and
I mean,
above.
I mean, I mean, it makes sense because of like the rise of the gaming industry being that way.
Yeah,
It's like now that social aspect has just come into the game, so I think it makes sense.
I think that's super interesting though because like for me, like when you're talking about like you get girls that way, I'm like holy shit. I've said this before to you guys. I've never like not that I'm even single, but if I were single, I would not want to be around anyone who game. Like if they're a girl and they were gaming, I just don't want my partner to be involved in my hobby that hard. Like I want to be supported, but I don't want to like always do my hobby with you because my hobby's for me. You know what I mean? It's like if
Well, I
I'm
think
into
I'm on the
like
opposite side of like. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I'll say if I'm into like model trains, I don't want a girl who's into model trains. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying I think of it in the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
aspect. Like if I enjoy my all my free time doing a certain thing that's for me, like I don't do it for anyone else. I don't want my partner to have the same exact interests as me. I want them to also have something else because I think it's also like interesting to learn from them and see like their passion and what brings them to it instead of like I already know what brings me to games. So someone who's a gamer, I don't need them to share that with me because I already know that, you know?
I definitely think it's a careful balance of having enough things overlapping. It's like a Venn diagram, but then also enough stuff on the outside to learn from and share.
Yeah, I was actually I think that's a good way of drawing out because I don't have the same feelings Jared does as far as like relationships like that. Like I actually wouldn't mind if my girlfriend was into that. Like like currently she's not, but it wouldn't bother me if she was, and I don't think it would take the enjoyment out of it for me.
I honestly low key think it's because I'm so competitive that like I can get mad at my friends and I'll be over it.
But
like,
that would be different with her.
But
Yeah.
then I put my head down to the pillow and I'm like, and you fucking threw that Valorant game? Like, you know what I mean?
Hit your
You
shots,
killed me.
Yeah, I'm like,
babe. You're sleeping on the couch tonight.
What are you doing? Why aren't you planting? Why did you plant there? Why did you plant there? You know what I mean? Like that would be in my head. So I feel
You
like
can plant
that's
yourself on
part
that
of it.
couch now.
Like here's the thing. Like I've definitely been upset playing games, but like I'm just like I don't care. It's just my friends, like whatever. But then I'm gonna see my partner and we gotta sleep in the same bed. Nah, we're squaring up after that, you know?
That would be interesting though. Like if you like two partners were like on the same competitive level.
Yeah, and then also
Like
just like the
how that
obligation.
relationship will be outside of the game, like outside of the competitive.
Like they're just as good as each other.
Yeah.
That's what I've thought because like with me being a higher rank in Valorant, I've seen other girls that I've played with or talked to that are also like pretty high rank, and I always thought it was interesting. Like if I did get in a relationship with them and they were as good as me or better, right? I was thinking about that. Like how would that make me feel? How would that make her feel? Personally, I don't think I would get insecure if she was better than me. I think that's kind of attractive. Kind of.
I don't know. Would you be insecure if your girl made more money than you?
Ooh. Ooh.
Really? Really? That's a ooh for
That-
you?
that-
Hold on.
I was saying,
That's an
I don't know.
ooh?
Maybe.
That's
really.
I think
See,
it depends on the situation.
I almost feel like that speaks to like that's the same kind of social structure though. It's just now in a video game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I said
definitely.
because I mean, Guayers, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but just based off your reaction to Victor, listen, bro. If my girlfriend makes more than me, I'll be a stay-at-home dad and play video games and do whatever
Here's
fuck
the thing.
I want.
I think
what's
it
wrong with that? I'll be a
depends.
little sugar baby, bro. What do
Yeah,
you
like-
mean? There's Rand. I mean, technically, Rand makes more money than me now
I'm-
on paper.
I'm
You know
gonna
what I
say,
mean?
Jared,
Like-
my position now. What do you mean? Like, look at Jessica.
It
Yeah,
depends.
so like I don't define my self-worth off what someone else is making because I know what I put forward to the table and I know who I am and I'm solidified in my person. But I don't I don't classify myself or feel any different type of way based off how much money I make versus how much my companion
So
makes.
so that stuff doesn't like it actually doesn't bother me if my significant other makes more than me. Jessica and I both have like the way we feel, we're actually on the same page where it's like I do want to be the one that makes money and she doesn't need to make money. Like we're on the same page with that. But it wouldn't bother me if she like was making the money and I wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
I'm trying to
definitely
figure out
think
how I can get a sugar mama, like full blown. Like
But that's
she makes
yeah,
six
what
figures, 200,000.
so
I'm,
so so so
spending her money with my card, buying PC parts. You know what I mean?
so why was that an ooh for you, Vic? Like
because
what's
I think it depends on like how they're making it. Because personally, there's nothing wrong with this
so
disclaimer.
does it depend on how
Hold
she
on,
got Radiant as well?
No, no, no.
hold
Okay, I'm talking
on.
about the money
Well,
part.
first of all, yeah, it does because if she's hacking, then yeah, it does matter.
Okay, then
But
if she's hacking or boosting or getting boosted, then yeah, I'd be kind of pissed. Of
but
like, you know.
but I don't. You're gonna have to expand on your comment there.
So
We just found the
on
Tate follower in the group.
the money side, right? God damn it. On the money side, I just feel like it depends on how she's making it because, and there's nothing wrong with this disclaimer for everyone watching. Say I dated someone and or I guess their only source of income was like OnlyFans or something, right? And they made like significantly more money on that than I do with my current job. I'd be a little salty, just a little bit. I just not not in a sense
So
of
you're talking
like,
about hairstylists versus like OnlyFans.
yeah, I'd be a little salty because in my mind I'm just like I'm out here working every day like a certain amount of hours, actually going out and like I worked on a skill and I trained and I'm trying to perfect that skill, right? And I'm providing like my services to someone in that way. I'm just like I feel like in my
I'm
mind,
gonna stop you there. I'm gonna stop you there, and I'm gonna argue you right now on this. I'm gonna debate you on this, right? Because
I already know what you're gonna say.
I think you have like an intrinsic misunderstanding of OnlyFans. First off, there's levels to the game, but I mean, as males in general, I mean, Vic, I'm sure you've watched bad porn before, right?
Oh yeah,
And you've
everyone
watched
has.
good porn
Okay.
before, right?
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting to
Okay.
see
Oh,
where
yeah.
you were gonna go with this, Jared, because I wasn't sure of your stance either.
Okay.
But okay, I
So,
see.
so what you're saying is that OnlyFans, she didn't work on a skill? Like,
No, no, no.
one,
I'm not
because you
saying
can
that.
figure yourself
No,
very
no.
poorly, technically. You know what I mean? Like, it has to, you're putting, at the end of the day, like, it's a performance. Like, majority of these girls, like, it's no different than modeling. Have you ever watched some of these TikTok girls who go onto the runway
Well,
versus people who are professional models who actually walk a runway? There's skill to them. Just because you don't understand them doesn't mean there's not a skill there. Now, I would say that says a lot about your perception of it. Like that says a lot about how you view the world. If that's the only thing you saw, because I think that's a pretty limited scope to look at.
No, I definitely agree that like for specific like OnlyFans for example, it's definitely there is skills to it, and there's definitely they're definitely providing a service, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
100% think that the people who are buying the service are like that's a different topic, whatever. But they are providing a service and they do have certain skills, right? But I just think the
Do you think that their
amounts
skills don't have value towards society like yours do, or is that unfair to say?
to a certain extent, yeah, to a certain extent.
Interesting. As
so
someone who enjoys
so
gaming content, which is
I
entertainment, also
actually
under the same
I would
umbrella.
say is your comparison like their physical attraction compared to your like hand-on skills.
That's the thing. Like physical attraction, other than obviously buying fake ass or whatever, right? Physical attraction is something you can't really control; it's just given to you. And for me,
I'm
like,
saying is that where like
yeah,
the
it's, in my mind, it's
I
kind of like
I
they got
think
lucky.
I think that this is a common misconception with like males in general with how that industry works. I'm not claiming to be like an expert, but I would say that my scope on it's a little better than yours. And the way I mean by that is like what I mean by that is with OnlyFans specifically, if it's so easy, why doesn't every girl good at it? Why is there the top 0.1% and why is there the bottom 1%? What separates them? Um, and it's no different than people give shit to like Kim Kardashian. And you can say whatever you want, but being a media and marketing mastermind is a skill. Her team and
Yeah,
her brain, they
she might be
know.
lazy in bed, but she's not lazy when it comes to marketing.
But for real, like, hey, look, listen, we've all, I'm sure we've all seen the video, bro.
Bro,
She
you
just laid
guys
back.
can't tell me she's not fucking lazy.
Shout out
Nobody
Ray
can
J.
fucking tell me that.
She out here looking like a dead fish. But in all
Like, bruh.
seriousness, the way they position themselves and their platform and their team, there is talent in the building. Now, I'm not saying that Kim Kardashian is some super talented individual, but she's surrounded herself with super talented people as far as a marketing perspective goes,
She's working her
photography,
strengths.
editors. It's all about that, and I don't think they bring any less value to society than you do. Because at the end of the day, when everyone goes home and they're not getting a haircut and they're not doing all their daily functions, they need something to keep them busy. Like by default, everyone looks for entertainment, whether it's music, whether it's fucking looking at titties, whether it's whatever. There's still value to be had there. Because like I said, not everyone can do it. I think if the average girl went up, could they be successful? Sure, but I don't think you realize how much goes into it.
Well,
So
I mean, it's also
how
like
you
when you
position it and all that.
yeah, it's like when you talk about natural beauty, like there's also natural talent in the world. Like that's
Yeah.
also unfair in that regard. So it's honestly no different.
Yeah.
Because that's something that person with the physical attraction, like you've seen people that are physically attracted and they're just dry and there's no attraction to you for you, right? Besides the physical, but you don't care to go to pursue that any further because you're not getting anything else from it. It's no different. At least that's the way I view it. Because I'm also, I mean, I'm not diving into OnlyFans. I don't
Dude,
understand that
I'm
side.
out here. Like, listen, if I was a woman, I'd be on OnlyFans so fast. Do I think it's an easier track than others? Absolutely, because there's just things that people look for that I don't have as a man. That a widespread, like there's a bigger market. Like you have a huge
Well, I mean,
marketplace to work with.
yeah.
As a guy, I could post,
Women are automatically more attractive. Like that's just
yeah, I could post like dick pics, but I'd have a smaller like niche community than a woman would. Like if any big level, if Pokimane right now made an OnlyFans, she'd be a multimillionaire every month. She'd be, I mean, she already is a multimillionaire, but you know what I mean. She'd be making millions every month, potentially 8 figures every month. So, and that's because of her status, who she is as a person. She's built that, but like having a platform's huge. But at the end of the day, even the ones that don't, the ones that built from nothing, a lot of girls in OnlyFans built from no platform at all and are bigger than porn stars are today. Like, even someone like Corinna Koff, isn't that her name? Corinna Koff? I think that's how you pronounce it. She's like a Facebook streamer.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay. Like, even though it's like, she just has big, yeah, or Amaranth, she just has big titties. Like, it's not just that. They know how to play into trends because at the end of the day, if they had no talent, they would fall off, right? If there's no talent and there's no grasp on the way marketing works or how content creation works, they would just fall off like anything else, right? So to you, you may perceive it as lacking talent or lacking a skill, but there are skills. They're just a different wheelhouse of skills. Is more of what the argument is. But I could see how for you personally, you're like, I'm out here working a 9 to 5. Like I'm doing this. I'm like, mine's a skill. Yours is more of a traditional skill.
I was gonna say it's traditional versus modern. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I would say that yours is lackluster because you haven't adapted to the times. I'm just kidding.
Damn.
Honestly, it's a skill issue. I gotta rank up, you know.
It's a skill issue.
It's a skill issue. I gotta rank up just like Rohan God.
Yo, fucking career diff over here.
He said I gotta rank up just like Rohan God.
Yes,
yes,
I was
sir.
say, speaking of ranks, I do want to.
So Rohan God, for those of you who don't know, Rohan God hit Challenger in every rank. He basically hit the max rank in every Riot game. So he hit it in Valorant. He did it in like 9 months. He hit it in League of Legends,
TFT, Radiant in Valorant.
Yeah.
Is it Challenger in League and
Challenger
then
in
what
League?
was the fourth game?
Runeterra.
Yeah. I don't know what the max rank is.
I think it's Masters.
I think he might be the only master in Runeterra. I think it's just Master singular because he's the only person who plays it. But
so I know how I feel about it. So I'm wondering how you guys feel about it first.
I mean, how do I feel about it? Vic, you can go first on your thoughts.
So, I haven't really been following him specifically a whole lot, but I've definitely seen him a lot on YouTube and
I actually didn't know about him until
TikTok.
till Jared brought him up. So
really,
Yeah, and then I kind of looked at some of his stuff. I
So
didn't really
I'm
look too deep, but
reading here from a tweet. It says that he reached all these ranks in just a little over 500 days. So it wasn't just like overnight, right? And I definitely think his popularity hasn't just been like overnight. And I haven't been following him personally, but I do see him on my For You page and stuff like that. And when I first saw him, I kind of like questioned the legitimacy of like this. Like, is he just doing this for publicity? Son, is he actually good at this? And that's the thing. Like, I'm not sure who could verify or how to verify. Like, if he got all these ranks in these games legitimately, whether or not if like maybe he was hacking in one of them or being boosted or something, or playing the system somehow. I'm not trying to
I mean, but let's just say
delegitimize his.
let's just say they're all legit, though. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts if they're all legit? Because I think that's on everyone's head as a whole. Is like, hey, is you sure he's not
but
hacking one of
yeah,
these?
Yeah.
we'll speculate
think-
after. But like, yeah, just the achievement itself.
think-
Like, how do you feel about
I
it?
think that that's a testament to the level that this is, though. If that's everyone's first thought, but go ahead, Vic.
Right? Like, it's like you want to almost take away from it.
This
Yeah.
man, if it's all legit, it's just built different. He's just, I don't know what to say. He's just built different, all right? Like, it's one thing to
I
be
wanna
really good at one
see-
game.
I want to see like a pentathlon of games, like the Riot pentathlon. It's not about having the best team in league; it's having the best team across all games.
And I think the
Dude,
craziest
like,
thing
that'd be
too
nuts.
is because like there's other people who have done similar things in the past, like I guess like Shroud, for example, right? He's like known as like to be like an FPS god. People think he's like good at every FPS game he plays. But it's so crazy that this guy Rohan, he comes in and he's not just good at one genre of gaming. He's good at all these other different games that take like completely different skill sets and completely different like just abilities to be good at. And he's
Hot take though.
highest.
I think card games are one of the easiest to get max rank in. I'm not gonna lie. I wholeheartedly
numbers
think
game.
that because you just play enough games, and for the most part, you play with the right decks.
Well,
You're pretty much good. Like the
so
numbers actually support
Yeah.
that theory. I feel like so.
yeah. Well, I actually wanted to speak to that because I think that the achievement in and of itself is really awesome, and like seeing that makes me just want to go out and do it myself. But that's kind of how I am with seeing people game in general. I don't really like people watching people game because when I watch them game, I want to do it myself. So like
Mhm.
hearing people do these achievements makes me want to go out and do it myself. So I think the achievement in and of itself is really awesome and like really cool to see. But also like these are all ranked achievements, right? And every game that I've played competitively, I feel like you can just grind to it. You can just grind to the end if you're committed.
I definitely do agree with that. I definitely think, especially in Riot games, there are certain points.
I'm talking about games in general.
From my experience, though, like with Riot games, because all of his achievements are only in Riot games so far, right? I definitely like can see and have been told by other high ranked players in these games and stuff that if you grind enough and you play enough with if you have a certain level of skill and you just grind enough, there is definitely points in these games that you can reach by just playing enough. But
he's the solo queue warrior.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. I don't think, at least in Riot games, I don't think that like these highest ranks that he's reaching is something that's like possible to do, that everyone could do. For example, for just grinding it out.
Oh, I don't think everyone.
I don't think anyone can just make Radiant or Challenger in League by just grinding and having just like a baseline skill set that everyone else has. Like it definitely is like something more.
I think like to a degree, like by default, realistically speaking, I agree with you, but like by just a numbers game, everyone has a positive win rate in every ranked game. I've never seen someone with a negative win rate. Like I literally never have. You look at everyone's win rate, everyone has a positive win rate.
Like, I was about to call it one of our homies. I was gonna feel. No, actually, I'm not gonna do it. Go ahead, keep going.
But like at the end of the day, like everyone has a positive win rate, right? So if I have 55% wins, like by default, over a course of like X amount of games, I'm going to rank up. So I think it's definitely possible. And then with the way like soft resets are and shit like that, I don't think it's possible. But I don't mean that to in a way to diminish his achievement, because that's not something I think I could realistically do. Like I don't see myself having, number one, the patience to even want to play Valorant
Or
for 9
time.
months just to try to get ragey.
Yeah.
No,
It
I
is
think
interesting over
everyone.
2
I think
years, too,
everyone
though.
has enough time in the day. I think everyone has enough time in the day.
So here's the thing, though. My counter argument with this, right? Specifically for Riot Games, you'll see these dudes all the time. There's a lot of them in League specifically. I'm going to talk about. They'll have like 3,000, 4,000 ranked games this season, and they've never been out of like gold, plat, or even diamond, right? They never go beyond that, but they'll have thousands and thousands and thousands of games. And that's the thing, was like, that's my counter argument to what you said, is like, I don't think it is possible, because it's like, just looking at these guys as examples, like, they've played, there's some people who play literally every waking second they can.
Well, I think to be more specific, you don't think it's probable that someone could actually do it. It is
I
possible,
guess.
but it's improbable.
It's very
Yeah.
it's very implausible. Yeah, it's probably possible, but very improbable.
I think it's possible. I think it's plausible, but I don't think it's probable.
Yeah.
Victor's like, I don't know the difference between those three words.
But it's also, I don't know, with this day and age is also, it's very different from if this kind of achievement happened like, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago when, like, gaming first started, because he also has so much knowledge at his disposal. Like, you can look up, the best you can look up the meta in every single game. And also, from what I saw, I think he is kind of like, he's the person that wants to be the carry, because I saw him playing like Reyna. He plays like Riven
Jet.
top.
Yeah.
He plays Jet. Like, he's playing carry
Well,
roles.
there's definitely like you mentioned, he's a solo queue warrior. There's definitely a way to solo queue to maximize your win rate.
The gains.
And carries the best role to do
there's
that.
There's a difference between playing to get better, to learn the way to play at a high rank and a high level, versus playing to win. I do think that those are definitely different, because if I'm playing to win, there's a different headspace. Like, I'm not going for certain things. But then if I'm playing to play at the highest level and get better, I may do certain things that generally, like, it's one of those things of, I have to push the boundaries and I have to learn where that is, even though I know it may not be the most optimal play. I have to test certain things out. I have to learn to get better, and I have to kind of challenge the, like, where I fit inside of that.
And I would also be interested to see a person like him, like, when they approach a new game, like when they play something new on the same level as everyone else, like, how are they? How do they treat the game? How do they, adapt or be a pioneer to the gameplay? Are they the trendsetter, or are they abusing? And this doesn't take away, because, like I said, I think the achievement's amazing and pretty fucking impressive. Like I said, it makes me want to do it. But, like, I'd be interested to see those things now. Like you saying, like, him do this across other games instead of just Riot games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I wonder, like, is he like a natural talent in this stuff,
or does he know how to finesse their systems?
Like, he just grinded just the League games.
Throw him in Apex and let me see how his FPS skill is. Throw him in Super People or PUBG, right? Let me see how he approaches that.
Throw him in Dota.
Throw him in Dota and see how he adapts to the game, and, like, his game sense and how it translates. Because I think that's one of the things you're kind of talking about, is like that wheelhouse, right? It's one thing to finesse a system and understand a system and know how to win against it, and also know how to abuse certain tactics, right? Like, when I think of players like that, I think of, like, if you've ever watched a Grim video, he plays Sage. He just abuses cheeseball strategies that work, right?
And he has so many that
he's a gimmick. Like, he's a gimmick.
He's a gimmick player, which I don't want to take away from him either. But he's a gimmick player. He's not.
It's just, we have that understanding.
Yeah, he doesn't have, like, that raw skill, but he does have the brain and the lab time to go in and find these strats that get him kills. No different than, like, watching Coconut Bronze Siege, right? Like, hey, here are these strats that'll get you kills, and by default, getting more kills in a round will get you wins. But at the highest level, that's not how skills dictate.
And I mean, people like that deserve a place, because that's what, like, enhances the game and changes the game, and, brings it to the next step. Where it's like, people like the ones that impress me are the all around players, and it's like, that's what your rank says, but I want to see, like, the actual. I want to see the gameplay myself, because I honestly didn't look.
Give me
at
the
any
substance.
gameplay of Rohan God. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see you.
I want to see the details of the character.
Yeah. I'd love to hear you
Like,
break down like a game, like a brand new
right.
game you're playing it. I want to hear what you're thinking. I'd
And
love to
like I
see
want to
that.
see you work with. I want to see you like actually work with teammates and stuff like that. Because like I said, solo queue warriors, you can mute yourself and just grind. Like I truly
Yeah,
believe that because I've done that in multiple games and
yeah.
achieved the higher ranks. Like just like in Valorant, I went from bronze and then this season, we actually we're playing and I went all the way up to diamond in my essentially first season.
Yeah,
And also,
like
it's like, how much time did he actually play the game? Is this from his first experience of the game to like this, or like when did this counter start of the 2 years when he decided to start pursuing this goal?
yeah,
Like
it's like
factors like that.
when we're pursuing any competitive game, right? I'm playing Rocket League, and I play against people in live tournaments who I've wiped the floor with. Because when it's a congruent team who all works together and knows how to play together, we clap them. And then they go play in a solo queue game against me later that night in ranked, and then they dumpster my team and me. And I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, it must be great getting a higher rank than me just to lose it. You know what I mean? It's like that
Yeah,
same
yeah.
concept. It's like what it means to be good when you're solo queuing versus when you're actually in a competitive environment where everyone's good or everyone's on
Dude,
the
bring
same page.
this should make me think. Bring game shows back. Get these fucking top streamers or gamers, put them on the show, let them run through fucking 10 games, and
The
Dude,
let's
gauntlet.
no,
see the skill level.
they've tried that and those shows just do so poorly. Like they just do so poorly. Like they just don't bring in views because there was actually a studio who tried that. I forgot I think it was like start with a V, I can't remember the name, but they were like a studio like that where they would kind of have events and stuff like that, almost like where it's like a game show, but it's a gaming
Yeah, but didn't
show.
they like grab random people? Like I'm saying, these people that are like posting these achievements and stuff, like get them. These people that like are big names that have numbers behind them that follow them already, like pull those people in.
It's funny because I think that that's like one of the problems is a lot of these guys are like basement dwellers, so like they don't want to leave sight, right? I can't leave the
Right.
location of my basement, and
Oh,
I'm obviously
I had the wrong keyboard. I didn't have my
yeah,
controller.
yeah.
I didn't have my
I mean,
mouse.
hold on though. Setup's a huge thing though. Like you know that. Like going to a tournament, you're like, damn, this mouse pad's kind of small. Damn, this chair's kind of funky. You got to like find
Bruh,
where you can be comfortable.
Jared,
So,
we grew up together. We played on just random shit most of the
dude, I
time with
don't I don't
no
know if you
space.
know
Come
this. I
on.
don't know if you know this, Victor, but traditionally people play mouse and key like this, right? Hands
Yeah.
up like this. For the longest time, I played mouse and key like this because I didn't have room for my mouse. So I
On
played
like a
FPS
desk.
games. I
Yeah.
played FPS games with my
That's
with
why
my
No,
Jared and I
that's
are
mouse.
wrist
like
aimers.
it's like a classic
Yeah.
CS:GO player move right there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no. So like when I was playing Source, when I was playing CS Source, I played all of Source with my like basically my hand at my chest. I'm just doing this because we didn't have room like that. That's the struggle setup nowadays. I mean, kids like that's what's cool to see though. I will say nowadays kids have like actual setups where like their parents like understand that PC gaming is a thing, so they'll buy them a real desk. They'll get them like the proper space you need. I'm not
Bare
saying that our
minimum
parents didn't do
IKEA
that,
desk for sure.
but no, no, for sure. And I was saying it's not so much that the parents are buying it now, more than is like it's more readily available than it was ever before, which is super cool to see. But um,
But
I think that that's an interesting adaptation of the gaming industry for sure.
no,
It's
the
evolving.
achievement itself is pretty dope. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, overall, I think it's super dope. There's one last topic I did want to jump into before we wrapped up the episode, which was just this past week there was a huge data breach, which is actually what it was. I don't know if you guys know that's the cause, but Rockstar's GTA 6 got leaked, and there's a lot of I'm just gonna flat out say I think there's a lot of bad opinions on the internet, like normal. But there was a lot of like alpha or beta footage where it's like early bits of the game. People are like, how does this new? This looks like the same game, which I'm like, yeah. What more can GTA be? But I'm
I was
curious
literally
your
about
guys'
to
thoughts.
I was literally about to ask you like what are the bad opinions that you're talking about? And it's like if they're saying stupid shit like that, like
Dude, literally, it's beta footage, so you can see like some of the lines of like where the character's aiming. You can see like code on the side. You can see like different stuff of like different just
but
factors of the game, right? Like
I
listed at the bottom.
I feel like it's also like along with people being stupid and dumb and uneducated on game development and things like that. Like developers don't help themselves. Developers have not helped themselves when they talk about like betas and shit like that because that term has completely lost its original meaning. like
Yeah, the
early access
perception
and
of
things of
what
that nature.
early access or beta means has completely changed. So
Hmm.
when they say it's a game
So
in
it's like,
alpha,
how do you know what stage of the game the game is actually in now? Like we literally don't know because it goes developer by developer.
yeah,
So
I think the general consensus is that if the game is playable by any degree, by a large scale, it's like I consider it a release, but that was originally implemented as a loophole due to consoles. But go ahead, Vic.
So real quick to give a little more context to people watching, the data breach on the Rockstar games is for GTA 6, and that data breach was an hour and a half long video showing like straight up gameplay from their early development stages. And apparently this hacker, it's speculated that he did a lot of social engineering to get access to this because it's not some dude just typing on a keyboard. Oh, I got into their systems. This hacker, he's apparently 17 to 18 years old, so
Oh
he could be
shit!
still
Really,
a
I didn't know
kid.
that.
Yeah, still could be a kid, and is
This boy making
also
a name for himself.
he's also linked himself to the a few weeks ago now the data breach of Uber, the huge data breach that happened with Uber. And what happened with that was just like
Interesting.
literally the same thing that happened with this is the kid hacked into their source code and has access to everything. Like he even accessed their fail-safe accounts that they have in case of a breach like this. He accessed those. So they
Is this guy
literally he
like
Really?
had
coming forward himself?
I
Like
didn't do my
on in
research
regards to
completely
these
on
things?
that if he has like a name or like stuff like
I
that, but
I'm
what
in.
I've seen from every
It's
source
like
is
is he flexing on people like on these
So
I
I
think
companies? Is
he's
think
just
that what
doing
he's
it to
doing?
flex on
so.
people,
What
yeah.
one I didn't know he was 18, but what I heard was that they were flexing because they stole 90 different videos of like that alpha footage or like that early content footage, as well as they stole like the amount of lines of code was in the five figures. So they stole like 20 to 40, I think is what I remember. I could be wrong, but I think it was like 20 to 40,000 lines of source code, which is insane because it gives an insight as to how because I think that Rockstar is one of the best at making worlds in terms of making the world feel real, interactions with random NPCs, all these random events that can happen, and it's kind
I
of
think
like
they were like the trendsetter on that, weren't they?
that's their
They
like
were really
Of
industry
like
open
secret.
world, yeah, I
yeah.
think
Yeah,
so.
no one does it like them still to this day. Like if you play Red Dead right now and you like jump off a cliff, the way like certain things happen, or you interact with certain characters and all that, they're so deeply ingrained. Where like they're the story, there's a story across the entire world, and it's always been like a secret of theirs of how they do it. So for their source code to be out in the way that it is, if he does leak it, because what I read was that he didn't even leak it yet. Basically gave a warning like I'll leak it.
He's holding them
So
ransom right now.
yeah. So I mean, I'd be interested to see how this develops. One of the biggest concerns that people had overall, though, was how this affects the development moving forward. Is Rockstar going to delay their game now because they need to rewrite some source code? Because on top of leaking source code, it makes their game that much easier to hack. Right? How vulnerable is your
And
game
look at
now?
GTA 5, man.
So
My
Well,
god.
you have to take action on that. There's no
yeah.
question about it.
But Rockstar did come out with a statement on Twitter about how like this isn't going to delay their release. They're going to continue just like they were before. They're not like necessarily concerned with it, but they also were like, "Hey, this is like pre-alpha footage," because a lot of people were like, "Wow, this game looks like a test game," and the people were like, "That's literally what it is. It's them testing out the game." Because the game didn't look different, and I'm just like, it like the clips that I saw was a woman robbing a convenience store. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude,
You want that in
that's
GTA.
that's the most basic of basic in GTA. Like, there's probably features that you don't know what they're testing, or you don't know what stage they're at. Like, they're testing certain interactions, or they're testing.
Like
They could be
like
testing response time on the like police and shit like that. You never
right.
know.
Like this isn't gonna give you the the game defining GTA 6 feature or the look and things like that. You're not gonna see that in that. That's not what that build is for.
So
Yeah,
on the flip side of that, I also when I was watching the videos of the leaked gameplay, I actually saw a lot of people in the YouTube comments and stuff actually commending the developers, and they were saying like comment after comment after comment. They're saying it's actually really cool seeing like how much work they've put into it, and it really gives us a perspective to like appreciate how hard it is to make a game like this at this scale.
Well, that's
I
because
saw stuff
people
like that
really
as well. Yeah,
didn't think GTA 6 was gonna be a thing. Like they thought they were just gonna keep updating GTA 5 because of how phenomenal it's going
Well,
for them.
and that was kind of like some of the opinions I saw was that like some of the negative opinions are stemmed from the fact that Rockstar does nothing to keep their community in the loop on what they're developing. Because I also think that Rockstar takes their time on their games. Like as far as I know, they're like, "Hey, we're developing Red Dead 2," and then they're like, "Hey, it's releasing."
Yeah,
Same
they
thing with
don't give
GTA 5.
spoilers.
They don't want to give spoilers because I feel like they're a studio who knows how to like manage their time, and they know how to like. I feel like that's from a project management standpoint. They know how to not how to just manage everyone and then also not overpromise and underdeliver. They're not
I
going to
will
set a
say
bunch of
they
unreal
understand the
expectations.
expectation of them. Yeah.
But
I
they
also
also
feel.
know their position where they can afford to do that, right? They can just be like, whenever we want to give it to the motherfuckers, they're gonna buy it, guys. So all we
Yeah,
gotta do is put out
yeah.
a good game. So they get the privilege to focus on that. But what were you gonna say, Vic?
No, exactly what you're gonna say. I just feel like, especially now, with how many games that they've released that people buy, they're at the position where it doesn't matter if they could announce they could have not announced GTA 6 until the day it released, and everyone would have bought it. They
Well,
still would have made.
I remember when GTA 5 released, they did like what 800 million, 700 million in like the first week or some crazy shit like that. It was some astronomical number in the nine figures and it was in a very short amount of time. So they know that these games that they put out, especially Grand Theft Auto as a franchise, like they know they know it's a banger. On top of that, they have no competition in the space. Saints Row just re-released and it's
Dog
absolute
shit.
dog shit.
Dog
So it's
shit.
like who's the
What was the other
competition?
one? Like I think Watch Dogs as well hasn't been doing
Watch
well.
Dogs.
Watch Dogs released Watch Dogs 2 and like they're dormant. They're nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Like,
It's not
Cause a
even
little bit. Cat
Just Cause I
series.
would not even say
is that the same
I
kind
would
of
say
game?
that's more similar to like Far Cry meets GTA, but
But even
I
even
wouldn't say
Far
those
Cry
are
is kind
similar.
of a competitor
Yeah, but
ish.
those are those truly like open world to the degree that
Yeah.
GTA is? Or are
Well,
they?
they're
Yes.
open world, but they're not as good of an open world.
That's why I say I don't even think they're in the same like they're in the same genre, but they're not in the same game. You know what I mean? They're not.
I
Saints
mean,
Row
GTA is just on
tries to
another
be.
level.
Yeah, so they know their
Well, I
position.
mean, Watch
They've
Dogs and
done
Saints Row look like they try to be carbon copies.
well. No,
Oh,
I
for
would say
sure.
Watch Dogs is not the same, but I think it's a twist on that. But the game is so unrefined and non-polished, you can't even make it to be a competitor. But it's in the same wheelhouse. Yeah,
I mean, it's a Ubisoft game, so
yeah. They,
unpolished is their stamp of
yeah, they're like, what if we put out a game that has tons of bugs and then none of the actual actions feel that good, and it's a constant gameplay loop.
I hate it because Ubisoft has such amazing ideas for games.
I think they
It's
have the
so
best.
sad. It's so sad. It's like you have the perfect idea, and then everything else is just executed poorly.
Yeah, they have the perfect vision with zero execution of any level. Whereas, like, I don't even know if Rockstar has the best vision. They just know how to execute at a high
Well,
level nonstop.
they found their niche, right, or their niche, and they're just there, and they just
Yeah.
keep going forward with it and just expanding and enhancing it. And
Assassin's
that's what you got to
Creed.
do.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, though, I was gonna say with the whole Rockstar leak, I'm interested to see if that affects their transparency with their development process, like moving forward. How that affects, I mean, how it's going to affect if that guy releases their source code, and just kind of what comes of it moving forward. If they're going to start giving updates, or if they're going to go dormant and
Well,
just like lay down in the shadows still.
yeah,
Know?
it makes me wonder, like, what's this hacker's goal? Like,
I
since he's
mean,
holding on to the source code, is there some personal thing with Rockstar, or is this guy truly just flexing on everyone just to flex
I
on
I
definitely
everyone?
think
think
it's a
with
flex.
hackers, yeah, I'll say with hackers like that, it's a status thing. Like in my experience of hearing about stuff like that, I feel like it's always like a status thing to be like, look what I did. And I feel like there's never like a goal like that. It's like, what was your goal? Just to see if I could do it, and I did. But
Especially at
then,
that age, it's like he has that ambition, right? Especially being
dude,
you know how bloated like hackers are. You
Yeah.
know
dude, you
they
know what's crazy is this is what's gonna happen. Look, I'm gonna call it here. This kid's gonna get picked up by the NSA. They want him, bro. They're gonna want him. They're gonna be like, listen, we need those skills.
It's NSA
You know?
or it's anonymous.
They're like,
It's
listen.
one of the two.
Oh no, because he's gonna get arrested. They're gonna catch him. And they're gonna put the folder on the thing. Be like, here's the list of everything he stole. Here's your lifetime's worth of charges. You can do that, or you can work for us. Like I feel like that's the conversation.
He's the
this
modern
kid's
day
gonna
Frank
get.
Abagnale.
And what you know
Or-
what? We'll see his movie in 10 years. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna,
Catch Me If You
that's
Can
it.
Part 2.
Yeah, he might get a whole Netflix docuseries, HBO Max documentary, all that stuff. But that's my prediction. But I think that's a good place to end here.
Sounds
Again, we got Biku for this week. We might have another guest next week. We'll see. But thank you for coming out. You can catch all his socials down below, posted in our video on Twitter, all that. We'll link all that down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next week.
Yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed it.
Peace.